Hello and welcome. I don't know what I just did there. Welcome to Peace, Love, and Robots, a podcast about anything and everything and all that is in between. This is season 2, episode number 1. I'm going to stop counting the episodes, by the way. This is the last time you'll hear that. But welcome to season 2. I am your host, Jeremy, and I forgot what I normally say here. Thanks so much for listening. I've been gone for a while. I'm a little rusty. You ever go somewhere on vacation and then you come back to work and you're like, ugh, I forgot what I have to do here. How do I do this? You know, I'm sort of in that mindset right now. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I did like 40 episodes of this. Now 35 episodes of this show back last year. And now I'm back for hopefully 40 more, 35 more, whatever. And here I am. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the ads you hear at the beginning and the end of the show. So if you listen all of the way through, I will forever be in your debt. Thank you. I remembered that part. And I remember to turn down the music. Yeah, so here we are. I took some time off, and you're probably wondering where I was. The two of you that listen to this show, if you do listen, you probably are friends with me on Facebook, so you know I never really left. But I hit kind of a creative wall in May, and decided, you know what, this is the perfect time to take a break and take some sort of seasonal break, because summer was coming and I knew it would be very difficult to keep up with the schedule that I had through the summer because of vacation and all of these other things. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the pressure off myself and I'm going to stop recording for the summer. So I stopped in May, and here I am in September. So there you go. The summertime is about 4 months for me. Not really. And the thing is, I got a new job. It's the same job, except more responsibility. I got a promotion. And so the summer was really, a learning experience for me. I had to really buckle down and learn something about my work. And so I just decided I'm going to take some time off, and I did. And it was good. It was refreshing. And I would spend a couple of times sort of thinking about recording a new show, and I was going to back in July, and then August got really busy, and so I was like, forget it, that's not even timely anymore, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So I hit the end of August, and I'm like, you know what, I started the show in September of last year, so why don't I just start it now? And that's the season break. And that's how I ended up taking a seasonal break. It was more of I hit a wall. I'm going to not record this week. And then it just became a habit not to record. And then here I am in September recording an episode on a Saturday morning in my office at work. No, at home, actually. At work. Yeah, that's the other thing. I stopped working remotely in that time, which made my my time a little more precious at home. I had to do things at home, not only with my family, but also around the house that I would normally do in the middle of doing assignments at work. Well, not in the midst of assignments at work, really. I'd watch a training video while folding laundry and things like that. But so yeah, that's changed everything. Pandemic has sort of it's not over, obviously. There's still people getting sick. I am fully vaccinated. I think that was right around the time I went on my break. I got my first, and then I got my second, and I'm thinking of getting a booster. So we'll see. But there's still people getting sick, and they're getting sick when they're vaccinated. So that's just wonderful. But hey, some people get the flu when they get the flu shot. So get out there and get vaccinated if you can, if you're not morally opposed to it. But if you have friends who aren't vaccinated, please just give them grace, okay? Some people they're not keen on it. Guillain-Barré is a real fear, very real fear with vaccinations, and I've seen it happen to people. So it's not pleasant. and very difficult to recover from. But I'm not anti-vaccination. I think you should be able to be out there and getting vaccinated so that we can get out of the masks and get out of this whole thing. And maybe that's a controversial statement, but I think the thing is, like, when did vaccination become a virtue? Yeah, like, or when did anti-vaccination become a virtue? That's the problem. Like, when you're in the middle of it and you're like, look, just make a decision, you know. Oh well, I'm not gonna talk about that. We talk about that stuff all the time, and I feel like I'm getting pressed in by it. If you see it on Facebook, you see it on Twitter, everybody's talking about that. You have to go to concerts now and hold your vaccination card. You have to carry it with you, all that other stuff. And I don't find it all that big of a deal, but I get, well, people are like, look, it's private, I guess. I don't know. I don't have an opinion, and I guess I should just stop talking about it, right? I should just stop having an opinion where I don't. I think vaccinations are good. So, and maybe that'll stop people from getting sick to the point of death. I know many people who have gotten COVID, and some of them got it really bad. Some of them got it lightly. It's a variety of experiences. So, if we're going to go anecdotal, people have been getting sick from COVID. Some people have died, some people have not. So I'd rather not die. So that's why I got the vaccination. I'd rather mitigate my risks as much as possible. I wear a seatbelt when I drive my car and things like that. So let's get off the vaccination bus. Why don't we? What have I been doing? I spend a lot of time watching true crime documentaries. Yeah. I throw Dateline. I have Peacock on my phone, and I have it on my Fire TV or whatever. And sometimes I'll throw it on as background. I watch a lot of Dateline NBC with Keith Morrison, who always seem to delight in when people are horrible to each other. Yes, you murdered your sister with a hammer, and you don't feel bad about it. I don't know. Bill Hader does a great Keith Morrison impression, if you want to look that up. I spent a lot of time watching true crime documentaries and realizing that, I'm kind of a horrible person, because I would hear that, or I'd watch that, or I'd listen to another podcast about it or something, and then I'd get mad when I get like 5 minutes into it, and I'm like, man, I've heard this one. Like, I get frustrated that that there's not enough evil in the world for people to document on television or in podcasts. And I'm like, man, I heard this story already. And I get mad, and that just makes me feel horrible that I'm mad that there wasn't another murder for me to sink my teeth into. So, so I watched a lot of true crime documentaries. I've read a few books. I haven't read as many as I wanted to. My goal was 12 this year. I think I've surpassed that goal. I got to look at Goodreads and figure that out. But I read some books, and I'm trying to think. I guess they're not all that important because I've forgotten what they were. I guess I could look at Goodreads and just tell you. I read some graphic novels. I'm in the middle of reading the Loeb Sale Batman books. There's Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Long Halloween was made into a movie, actually. And I guess it's a two-parter, and I don't know if the second part is out yet. So I have that waiting for me in the library, and I just love those books. If you like, no frills classic Batman, read the Loeb Sale books, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And I read Long Halloween just recently, and it's just really, really good. I've also let's see what else. I'm on my Goodreads now. Oh, I listened to a great book over. I listened to a lot of books on tape. Well, books on tape. Audiobooks through Audible or through Libby, which is connected to my library. And I listened to a book called Wild and Crazy Guys, which is about the 80s and about the 80s and how and SNL's influence on comedies throughout the 80s, movies and stuff. It's really, really interesting. I actually want to go back and reread it because it was so good. Re-listen to it. It was narrated by Curtis Armstrong, who you would know as Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, or I believe he was on Moonlighting as well. I didn't really watch that show because I was too young. And he was also in One Crazy Summer, another one of my favorites, and of course, Better Off Dead. He was Charles DeMar, and he does the narration of the book for for audiobook. I learned how to speak English while I was gone, and it's still my second language. But yeah, it's a great book. Very entertaining, very insightful. Learned a lot of cool, interesting things about Bill Murray, of all people. Bill Murray is a very deep guy, which is why he's become such a phenomenal serious actor after being the comedy guy for so many years. And so that was good. I also listened to Shea Serrano's Movies and Other Things. It's a great, great book. If you like silly, basically little snippet chapters. The chapters, you don't have to read them in order if you don't want to. They're all like essays on movies, and Jay Serrano's a phenomenal, really funny writer. And he writes for The Ringer, and he used to write for Grantland with Bill Simmons and things like that. He's very, very funny. Also, big sports guy, which is, I'm not a big sports guy, but I don't mind reading guys who are sports guys because they have an interesting take on other forms of entertainment. He's very smart too. He's a very, very smart writer. He sees things and has insight into things that I don't see, and made me want to go back and watch some stuff. Particularly, there's a chapter on Michael B. Jordan, and he talks about when Michael B. Jordan broke your heart the most. It's not a funny chapter. But it's interesting because I had forgotten he was in a movie called Hardball with Keanu Reeves back in the day. I remembered he was in The Wire, which I watched years ago, and didn't remember exactly what happened with his character, and he goes over it, and it's pretty intense. So, but it's a good book. It's a very good book. I also listened to As You Wish, a book about the Princess Bride with Carrie Elwes, which I will still die on the hill that Princess Bride is not a comedy. It's a very funny movie, but it's not a comedy. It's a romantic fantasy adventure, and it had some laughs in it, but it's not a comedy. And it was very good. The stories about Andre the Giant were pretty heartbreaking, things like that. And it's really good. It's really, really good. Let's see. I think that's it. That's all I've read. I didn't really have a topic in mind for today. I just wanted to kind of get it out there. It's one of those tear the Band-Aid off type of episodes where I just wanted to get out there, put something up so that I can kind of not have an excuse next week when I'm like, oh, I got to record a podcast. I got to do a show. Maybe I don't have to. I didn't do one last week. Well, now I did one. Well, next week I'll be like, well, I did one, and I should probably do another one. And maybe I'll think of a topic and I'll write it down. And I won't ramble incoherently because this is sort of what's happening here. I'm rambling incoherently. I'm trying to I should have written down notes, but I didn't, which makes it even more difficult to listen to, I'm sure. So I've been writing, actually. That's the other thing I want to talk about. I've been writing a lot. I'm working on the draft for Working Class Hero, which hopefully, God willing, will be out in November. That gives me 2 more months to finish working on the final draft. I have written, thousands of words over and over again in the last few weeks. So hopefully by November, I will have a link to it on Amazon. You'll be able to get a printed copy on demand and also a Kindle copy. And I may record the audiobook somehow. Maybe. I hope. Because it's not like the podcast. It's really not. It's not at all. It's the same story, the general structure, but there's more stuff to it. There's more detail, and there's a few more stories. So it's not the same as the Working Class Hero podcast that I did last November.